Hello, Addie Marie Art here. I have been drawing character designs with a dark Prismacolor pencil as a sketch, rough sketch, get all the little shading and details in I want to keep, and then I use my light table to trace it over again with a pen. So far I've only done this character and I made him a little bit older, but when I turn this light table on you'll see that I have traced over my sketch and left the details in pen that I wanted to keep. The main reason why I added so much shading here and there on the sketch was so that I could still see those little details when I did the line art, but I'd still be able to visualize where I wanted to put the depth, like around his nose and eyes, etc. But yeah, I think the sketch turned out really good afterwards. I haven't done the line art for this one yet, and I started to draw this character as well. When I come up with these characters, depending on how well I can already visualize what they're gonna look like, I either start out with just the eyes, nose, and mouth with the eyebrows and expression first, or I'll draw the head first. So for instance, for this drawing and this drawing, I started out with the eyes and nose first to get the expression, then drew the face shape around it. But for this one, I drew the face shape first and then the eyes. So it just helps me to think about character design in two different ways mentally. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's just what I do. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's more difficult to start off with the exterior of the face versus the interior. But yep, I was going to finish doing these sketches and then move on to the line work. Now that I have finished the line work for these characters so far, I'm happy with where they're at. I'm going to place that paper over the top and turn on the light table and trace over them with pen. This is the pen I am using. It's a Prismacolor pen. It's a very fine point pen, but it works pretty well. I think I'm going to do this one. So, I'm gonna start off with the eyes first. When you go from doing the details from one eye to the other, keep going back and forth, looking back and forth as you're doing it. That can help you keep the details consistent. So there are the eyes first. I brought that wing out a little bit far there, so I'm gonna shade that a little bit and do the same for the other side. This is a very exaggerated character. The eyes, at least, are very dramatic. The line work part of character design is a little bit more tricky because you're not being as free with how you're drawing. You're putting that line down and it's exactly where you want it to be. There's no gesture lines, or at least with how I've been doing this. There could be other approaches that I don't know about. But for the final line work sketch, this is just how I approach it personally. Add a little bit of detail. I don't want to put too many lines around her eyes because I don't want her to look too old. And if I don't like how the line work turns out on this drawing, I can always do another one. That's the beauty of tracing. And if I have a lot of little things I don't think I'll be able to remember by the time I do the next sketch, I can always put little notes here and there, because this is just a personal ref for my own characters that I am designing in the moment. And if I didn't want to add notes on the paper that would be permanent, I could always write them on a sticky note. You always want to be aware of if your pen is running out and if you have a spare of the same type, so that all your line work stays consistent, or at least the same size pen. Sometimes certain brands look very similar with how the ink looks on the page when you draw with it. It is good to have a steady hand when you do the line work part, because you don't want wavy lines where you want straight lines. Alright, so there's that. Now that I have finished the line work for that drawing, I'm going to turn off the light table and see how it looks. Looks pretty good. I feel like the chin dips in a little too much here, and I may have angled the face too much here and here for where the eyes are. I feel like I need to pivot that a little bit. So if I really want to, I can go back and change that. That's kind of how the line work sketch looked, so that was my fault for not changing that when I did the line work. Ooh. But overall, it's a pretty good first sketch and first concept art. It's pretty fun using the light table. You can use light table to animate. I have done it a little bit before. As you can see, I actually made her expression be a little more smug and looking a little more straight than off to the side in this one. So we almost have a little animation going there. For that guy, I just made him a little older, so it's got the same face, same expression and pose. Just looks a little older. And I haven't done this one yet, but I will do it at some point. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. Bye!